If you're watching at home and you're looking to get into the industry, this is the place to be.
When talkSPORT started, that was made for me. It felt like my home. This was where I was meant to be.
There isn't an average day. Every day is different.
And it was a radio course, and then they failed me. And I was like, Hannah, I'm in radio.
I think as a woman, the imposter syndrome, you do sit and think, oh God, have I thought that because I'm a girl and I don't know enough?
If you're good and you work your backside off, you'll be fine. You know, you'll be absolutely fine.
This is a very big industry, but it's also a very small industry, and word travels fast.
You have to hustle. You still, whether you're on air or off air, it's a sort of industry where it's tough.
If there's a job that you want, work your tail off to make sure you're doing it, because if you're not, someone else will be.
Just get on and do it.
Hello, how are you doing? And welcome along to talkSPORT's International Women's Day. This is our Give to Gain panel show. Give to Gain is the theme this year for International Women's Day, so we thought with some brilliant women on air and off air here at talkSPORT with some brilliant male allies, we'd all get together and have a roundtable discussion and put out there our stories, the reason we got into the industry and how things are going for us. For those who are looking to get into the industry, hopefully we'll be able to give you some pointers along the way. All thanks to International Women's Day, our Give to Gain panel show. Thank you for watching, and thank you to those of you who got in touch as well. My name's Shebahn. We're with some brilliant people here in the studio as well. Alongside me, we've got Angelina Kelly, who works on air with us here at talkSPORT, been through all of the journey, on air and off air. We've got the greatest of all time, he makes us say that, Adrian Durham, sports broadcaster, of course, who we know very, very well, and Emily Ward, who's our new weekend editor and evening editor here at talkSPORT. So all of us thought, when discussing this Give to Gain International Women's Day campaign, that we'd all just sit down and have a good old chat about things, and lots of conversations that we can have along the way, and hopefully they'll help you. If you're watching at home and you're looking to get into the industry, this is the place to be. We're going to give you all the pointers you need to know. So I think we should start at the very beginning. Ange, we'll go with you first.
Yep.
How did you start on this journey into the industry?
Oh, I think it was probably when I was about 16, I want to say. So like I got into football through my granddad, because I was the last grandchild that he had to try and get interested in football. No one else cared. So when I was younger, obviously got into it, thought it was something I'd want to do. And then when I was about 16, 17, like going to Manchester United games, friends that I met, through a few people, met someone called Jay Motti, who ran a Man United fan blog. Asked if I could write, he let me, did that, and then he's been someone who throughout my career has always been someone I can go to, helped me get a job when I did my MA in sports journalism, and then was the reason that I got onto YouTube and presenting and different things like that. So yeah, it all kind of stemmed from there, of going to Man United games, being a fan, wanting to write about it, and just kind of being given that opportunity.
Adrian, you're a number of years in this business. Tell us how long and tell us when it started.
A number of decades in this business.
Guess the age. Guess the age.
Actually reported on my first football match at Hartlepool, believe it or not, in November 1989. In fact, it was Halloween 1989, so October. So that's a long time ago. I don't think you were born there, were you?
I wasn't.
Okay,
No, sorry.
I don't think anyone was born there.
I was.
All right, fair enough. But it was. It's a long, long time ago, and the industry has changed so much in that time, and I've kind of lived through all of that within the sports industry. I did a lot of news as well, reported on various court cases, interviewed many politicians down the years, done loads of different news stories, general elections, up all night doing those, and then came back to sports when talkSPORT started. So which was kind of, when talkSPORT started, that was made for me. It felt like my home. This was where I was meant to be, and I've been here ever since. Somehow nobody's noticed, and I've managed to keep my job ever since then.
Brilliant. Lovely stuff. Emily, you're a number of years in this business as well, mostly working off air.
Yeah, mostly working off air. Yeah, so I never condoned stalking, but when I left university, I actually, at first I was convinced I wanted to be on air, and I just like almost pie in the sky wrote a letter to Sky, actually, just to basically managing director Sky Sports, sent them a CV and said sort of what I wanted to do, and then from there got offered a position as a runner, missed the call, then started a job as an estate agent's receptionist, and I was like frantically took the number down wrong, frantically trying to call this woman back for years, and then somehow managed to track her down, and then just basically emailed her constantly until she gave me a job. And then I was floor managing at Sky, and then I became a director's assistant, then a director, and then kind of wanted to step back a bit from on-air stuff. I was on-air behind the scenes stuff, and then last year came and joined talkSPORT.
And you've been so welcome here,
Thank you.
and so far things are going very well. Don't forget, a lot of you have been getting in touch with your questions for us here on the panel, so we're going to get through them very, very soon. Ange, what does an average day look like in your world?
There isn't an average day. Every day is different. You can be, just coming from work on a Sunday evening and you get a text message, oh, we need someone to do early sports breakfast. Do you mind those hours? Do you mind getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever? There's no average working day, it seems, which is what I enjoy, because I think there are certain aspects of this career where you can have an average working day, but for me, I like that it's different. I like that every day you're doing something different. You don't know what's around the corner, which obviously for planning your social life can be a bit difficult. But yeah, I think for me, it depends, because I've got a bit of an interesting one where I still do work with the social media team. Obviously, I've done on-air stuff, match reporting, etc. But I think one thing that's a common thing every day is doing your prep work, making sure that you're prepared for whatever is kind of thrown at you. But it can be anything from making a video for YouTube one day to being on the Man United YouTube show, doing a podcast with Adrian on a Friday, and Alex Crook. So for me, it's a difficult one because there isn't really an average day, but that's what I like about what I do.
That's great, isn't it? Like, because sometimes that routine can get a little bit, same old. But
when you live for the weekends sometimes, which some people do and it's fine, but I like the fact that I actually like that I work on weekends and you get to mix it up a little bit, and you're not just doing that countdown to, oh God, when it gets to my 2 days off, because your days off are all over the
and
place.
That's the thing, you could be at stadiums on the weekends, watching sports with different places, different people. So there's excitement in not having a normal structure, especially in this industry, which you know all too well about, Adrian.
Absolutely, yeah. And I was just going to say that when you're on the Saturday show, for example, at a game, which I don't think you do enough, so I need to have words with people. It's such a joy. Because there's a journalism element to there, which not every reporter brings. Reporters are different. Sometimes they can bring a massive vocabulary, different flowery language, etc. Other times it's like they're hunting down news stories to put them in their reports, and you kind of bring a lot of everything. So really love having you on the Round the Ground show. So don't take weekends off ever.
No,
okay?
never ever.
But I love one thing I've struggled with actually in this job, in this career, is days off, which I tend not to have. Even when I've got a day off, I tend not to have a day off. I think a lot of people will understand what I'm talking about in the industry. Yeah. But so, for example, people think I have Fridays off, but Fridays I spend at home preparing for Saturday's show, which is so gigantic. It literally takes, I could start at, say, 9 in the morning or earlier preparing the show and not finish until the game in the evening is done at 10 p.m. Then I'm printing it off, then I'm putting it in the folder, and then I'm packing a bag ready to go early the next morning. So a day off is not really a day off, but it's like you say, I absolutely love it and wouldn't change a thing. It's the dream career. So anybody who is thinking of getting into it, just chase the dream, and you never know where it's going to end up. Game
Day Live is like iconic as well, isn't it? When you're in the car at whatever time on the weekend and Game Day Live is on, I'm so aware of the amount of prep you do, and that doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and when you're prepped you feel fucking good.
And I said to you, didn't I, when these stats just come out of your brain, I don't even hear you rustling around for a bit of paper where you wrote that down. It's just there.
Well, it's funny, one of the previous managers who's not with us anymore said, I don't know how you do this. And I said, well, I could show you if you want. He said, no. Let it stay magic. So that's fair enough. But yeah, it's fair to say it is a lot of hard work. But when I say that, I actually love just going down the little rabbit holes of football knowledge. So it's something I really enjoy. It's time consuming, but I just absolutely love it. And I've not stopped having that passion for it.
And what's amazing, if you're ever having a conversation with Adrian and you tell him something, he goes, I didn't know that. I'm like, well, drinks on you.
Well, the kind of stuff you tell me, that happens all the time.
Nobody knew. I've made it up. Emily, in terms of your role, management role, mostly then off air, what does a day look like typically in talkSPORT?
Again, there's not really a typical day, purely because it's very reactionary. So my role is I manage the evening and weekend shows. So yeah, it's reacting to results of that night's games. It's reacting to fixtures upcoming at the weekend. It's reacting to, well, not just football, boxing, everything, every different type of sport, different stories within different sports. So you kind of have to just... You can't have a day off because you then risk being so out of the loop. So yeah, there is no typical day. You come in and have your morning meetings and a morning editorial debrief, and you make sure you're listening to the shows that you're across. But yes, sport it constantly gives you stories, so it's just very reactionary.
Yeah, there's no stopping. But the good thing is, if you're here, you probably love sport. You probably love it, so you're not really switching off from it anyway. Okay, let's get into some of the questions because we put this up online. We had an email address that some of you were getting in touch with to put your questions to the panel, so I'll get into them right now. This one's from Ria. What does it mean to you to be a woman in sports, and have you had time to reflect on your successes? And one for Adrian as well. How do you support women in the industry, and does it differ to working with male colleagues? That's from Ria. Ria, thank you so much for your question. And do you want to take this one first? What does it mean to you to be a woman in sports?
It's great. I mean, I think even though Adrian was saying, I wasn't born in the 80s or anything, I'm, a little bit younger, still when I was coming into it, I was sneered at times. It was, really, you want to do that? Are you sure that you're going to be able to do that? Not from like my loved ones, but, outside voices. So I think to feel like I've achieved something in that sense and kind of hit that goal, yeah, it's amazing. I think it's hard to reflect on things because, and maybe this is more my personality, but I always want to think like, what can I improve? What can I do better? What's the next thing that I can get to? So I've kind of had to teach myself to sit and reflect. And sometimes if you've maybe not had the best day, or you think, oh, I could have done that better, or what if, etc., I try to think, this time last year, what were you doing?
That's
if
healthy.
you could tell yourself a year ago, Angelina, you'd be doing this. And I always try to think, if I was to tell 16-year-old Angelina what she'd be doing now, that kind of makes me reflect a bit more and think, no, you know what, you've done good. And I think as women, it's very important to take that time to give yourself your dues and a bit of a pat on the back in that sense. So yeah, it can be difficult, but over time I think you've got to train yourself to give yourself that moment.
Yeah, no, it's healthy. It sounds like you're good to sit and think and look at the diary and go, right, what was I doing this time last year? What am I doing this year? Sounds like you're full on with yourself as well. You want to keep moving forward, and it's important to be like that as well. Adrian, going back to Ria's question about supporting women in the industry, I remember not long when I started at talkSPORT, you reached out. If there's anything I can help you with, let me know. Yeah, a lot of people did that, but it's important to have male allies when you're women in the industry.
Well, I think it's like you're saying, there's a lot of people that sneer at you if you're a woman trying to get, I'll specifically go with talkSPORT because it's the experience I've had for the last 25 years or so, that if you're a woman coming into the talkSPORT towers, it can be quite daunting. Certainly, I mean, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, a woman walking through the door on what was floor 2 of the old building would probably be stared at because, we didn't have many women working with us, and that's quite a difficult thing. I don't think men realise how difficult that is. So it's only through having those conversations with the women working there and being empathetic and actually listening to them and understanding what baggage they have to carry around with them, which is forced on them, really. It shouldn't happen. And it's only through understanding that you can properly help out, through talking to your male colleagues and explaining, well, maybe that isn't the right way to go about it or whatever, or just by listening to female colleagues. I think it's all to do with empathy, because I can't put myself in your shoes. I can't. I've never had that experience. So for me, I think it's just important just to sit and listen more than anything else, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, the misogyny can be real. but quite often, 9 times out of 10, face to face, when we're all grown ups in the industry, it doesn't happen like that. A lot of it can happen online, and we'll come to that a little bit later on in the show. Emily, how about this one for you? Somebody looking at universities currently, what type of degree would be best to move into radio or sports broadcast? Just for reference, Maya, who's our producer today, she did a football business media course. Let us know what it was you did.
I did a law degree.
Did you?
I did a law degree.
I'm looking for a lawyer.
I did a law. Yes, so am I. I did a law degree. So in terms of getting into the industry, obviously you can do it with a degree that's not media or sport or business or broadcasting related. So you can. So people who have gone down that avenue and maybe afterwards thought, oh, this isn't for me, but I've missed the boat. You haven't, because you can do whatever you put your mind to. I did a law degree. I'm quite I would say an empathetic, emotional person. So for me, I was like, right, let's look at this in the reality of what this would mean for my day-to-day life. I probably would take a lot of those cases home with me emotionally, and I don't know if I would want that to be my life, really.
Okay.
So I'd rather go home and think about ACL injuries and groin strains. But it's I mean, maybe cut that bit out. You can do any degree, but I from a point of view of advice, I would say, like my football business degree, you can do a sports law degree.
Yeah.
You can do so many media-based things now, but nothing really gives you the same experience as doing the job. So I would say, rather than putting all your focus on I must do this degree and have these qualifications, the experience is the key.
Yeah.
I would say more than that.
I would also add to that, this a long time ago I was at university, so please bear that in mind when I'm saying this, but so there was no family background in sport or broadcasting for me. I'd never met my dad. My mum had no interest in any of that side of things whatsoever, but it had always been my dream to work in radio because I listened to radio, but I thought it happened to other people. Okay, so I was in that zone all the way through. So I did a degree in politics and sociology and social anthropology. Okay, we could talk about it later if you want.
I'm smart.
And I then decided to be a town planner. And I got on this incredible course. Okay, I moved to Newcastle, got on a course for European property development and planning. I was going to redesign and rebuild the whole of Eastern Europe. There were a team of 5 of us.
What?
I was told that by the age of 30, I'd be living in a penthouse in Paris.
Nice.
And I totally regret not taking it. No, I pulled out at the last minute because I'd already started football reporting on the radio by then, and my sports editor said to me, "You're insane doing that. You should go into broadcasting. It's what you're made to do." And for some reason, I just listened to him, pulled out the course, took a year off, did a course in radio journalism, and here I am. It worked out. I don't know. I don't think it was luck. I mean, you make your own luck, okay? And you work hard. If you choose something, choose a path, and you work hard at it and go for it, I think more often than not, it might come off not necessarily exactly where you wanted to go. You might meander down a different path. You might find a better end outcome. But that was my history. So you can change your mind. You can. I always thought it would happen to other people. I always thought I could never have that career, and yet, I mean, listen, if my career ends tomorrow, which, retirement's around the corner, I'm going to be so thrilled when I look back at the tournaments and stuff that I've done. So I have no regrets about anything. So feel free to change your mind along the way, as long as you've got a plan in place, I think.
Yeah, I feel we're learning more about you and
I know.
like older Adrian from back in the day.
I had more ginger hair. It's gone a bit strawberry blonde now.
He's found a bottle of peroxide. So, listen, can I just say on that, in all seriousness, I went into work experience at 16 and I did not leave because radio is where I wanted to be. And then I did an HNC radio course on the side, and that was on a Thursday, Friday, and any time I seemed to get work at the radio station, it was a Thursday, Friday, and it was a radio course, and then they failed me. And I was like, Hannah, I'm in radio. And then we managed to get it to a C. But as Emily pointed out, there's no better experience than just getting your foot in that door,
absolutely.
doing any job you can. If it's making tea, I don't think that job really exists anymore, but it's important to do those things. Anything that you can be handy with in the building, getting, under people's noses, do it and be brave. Moving on, Ange, I want to ask you this question, if that's okay. How do you get your name out there? As someone whose career's really taken off in this new age of social media, how are you navigating building your personal brand and getting your name out there, Ange?
I think it is hard work, and I think I was lucky that my first kind of bit of exposure was on YouTube, on a fan channel which is now called Stretford Paddock, and it's one of the biggest Man United fan channels, and being a Man United fan, you've got that exposure and people are interested in what you want to say. So I think having that luxury of being on something like that was good, because I was probably one of the only women on the channel, definitely the only woman of colour on the channel, so I guess people maybe remembered me a little bit more. And it's quite funny, I remember seeing something on a talkSPORT Facebook video, a family member brought it to my attention, someone had put like, oh, remember Angelina when she was on this, then she went to One Football, and I was like, A, do I have a stalker, but B, just really didn't expect anyone to remember my kind of journey and what I've been on, so it was nice. I think with personal brand, it is all social media. It's something that I personally struggle with, because my job at One Football when I was in Berlin, it was very it was an international YouTube channel, so you've got it from all angles. And as I'm sure we can all relate, when a woman makes a mistake that a man might make, the response is triple, quadruple. So I had a few bad experiences with that, so it was difficult to kind of get back into the swing of posting. My piece of advice is never read the comments, and that kind of helped to empower me a little bit more. But I think with personal brand, it is all about social media. It is about posting, whether it's on X or Instagram or TikTok. Try and have fun with it as well, I would say, but you also do kind of have to look at it as, if somebody comes onto my page that might want to give me an opportunity, employ me for whatever, then what are they going to look at? If you're going up for an award for something and somebody might just have a look at your page, it's all that type of stuff of how you're going to be perceived, which can be a bit overwhelming maybe for people, that everyone else is looking at you and might have an opinion, or but you've just got to push through it. And I just kind of have the head on of this is for my work.
Yes, it's all part of the job. Is that something actually in management that they look at? Do they look at who's got the brand, who's got the profile?
I think so, yeah. Well, if we're looking for someone, if we're looking for a new presenter, or for you need to see examples of someone's work, really. So it's a hard one, because sometimes you don't want to be, I don't want to just show off myself, but you have to. Yeah. You have to, because if someone can write the greatest letter, but we need to see it. Otherwise, there's so many people going for so few jobs that you don't have time to come in and almost give everyone a test. So the more that can just be seen by going on any social media channel, posting things on LinkedIn, having a show reel, those kinds of things, examples of your work, and even podcasts, how you are on air, how you interact with other people, is something that is really, really important.
We're going to come back to the social media subject a little bit later on in the show. Before we crack on, I wanted to ask you all about the sacrifices that come with this job, and being in this territory. And you kind of alluded to it earlier on, there's no normal day. You can't really plan, because you want to take everything that comes your way. Have you experienced challenges with that, Emily?
Yeah, I think so. I think when you're younger, a lot of my friends met their partners at uni and things like that. But when I moved up to London on my own to start working in this industry, and when you're trying to make relationships and date and things, I used to get questions, why are you at work? Why has something happened? Why are you at work at 10 o'clock at night? Or why are you at work on a Sunday? And it was always quite a good excuse to get out of stuff I didn't want to go to. I've always left a few dates. I've got an early start. But I sometimes do wonder, and I'll be completely honest, I do wonder if I'd chosen a different path, would I would my life be different in terms of would I have a family life more than I do now, and that kind of thing. So I don't know whether it's just life hasn't gone that way, or whether or not it's because I gave everything to this career. I moved from my family and my friends, and one thing, when I was sort of changing jobs fairly recently, I met someone that I worked with 15 years ago who was quite high up at one of the companies I worked at, and I said, have you got any advice or any regrets? And he said, I sometimes think that I gave 100% to work. Part of me thinks I would have got the same results if I'd given 90% and 10% more to my family. And so that is hard at times.
It is. I've had relationship breakdowns because of the amount of commitment I've given to work in the past. I can remember one relationship breaking down, and when we discussed why it had broken down, she said to me, I thought you were going to become Monday to Friday 9 to 5. I was like, hang on a minute, have you that show I do on a Saturday that I've been doing for years?
If you could just move all your fixtures between Monday to Friday 9 to 5.
It was extraordinary. So, but listen, I think when you what you're saying is spot on. You give the commitment, and it will impact your relationships, not just relationships with partners, friendships, and family. Family gatherings are on a Saturday afternoon. My daughter had a wedding on a Thursday, and when I asked her why, she said it's because you work on a Saturday. And I probably would have gone if it was a Saturday.
Probably.
Just saying.
Depends what the games were, really.
Yeah, if it was a good game, it'd have been a tricky one. But no, it was a lovely thing for her to do. As it was, I had to miss the game on the Wednesday night, which was Grimsby Man United.
Wow.
What a game to miss!
That's brilliant.
Anyway, but listen, there are priorities you have to have, but sometimes I also think that partners and friends and family can offer you really constructive advice and criticism. So there was another partner I was with who I got called into work on a Sunday. I rarely work Sundays. It's just like the day off I have after the Saturday, which is such a heavy storm. Anyway, the Sunday morning, Alan Brazil was meant to be working, and he didn't come into work that morning. It's a story we all know. Yeah. I got the call saying, can you come in and cover for Alan? And I straight away said yes, because it just felt like the natural thing to do. Yeah, I'll come in and work. I got back and I said to my girlfriend at the time, I'm going into work. I've got to go into work was the phrase I used. And she said, have you got to? I said, well, I've just been asked to. And she said, you said yes. I said, yeah. She said, you do realise we were going to spend the day together? And at that point, it kind of hit me. Actually, I have the choice. I can say no, and then they'll go and ring somebody else. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But sometimes you feel if I don't say yes, somebody else is going to do it, and they're going to make a good impression. They're going to get the work I'm getting. So in that, I'm obviously beyond that stage in my career because I'm so old. But I think at that point I was thinking, okay, I've got to say yes to this, but you don't have to say yes. It was a good lesson.
But what exactly Adrian's saying there, Ange, do you feel you're in that moment now?
100%.
So it's like all different stages of life, right?
Yeah.
But you can't say no just now. Do you feel that way?
Absolutely. I cannot say no. And it will be those things of, like I said, you working on the Sunday, you think, oh, like my Monday, I think it'll go like this. You get a phone call, do you want to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning? I can't say no to that. And maybe there will be a stage in my life where I'm not going to be able to do that, depending what path I end up going down. But for me, it is hard. Like, I've obviously moved down from Manchester. All my family and friends pretty much are still there. I've got godchildren who I've got an invite for my goddaughter's birthday party. It's in June. We know there's a World Cup. I'm not going to be able to be there, but I'm very, very lucky that my family and friends all understand what I do and they get it. And I've got like a very supportive mum who, the first football game we went to, she brought a book with her. She now has talkSPORT on in the car constantly. She will ring me and say, oh, did you hear about this on H&J or whatever or so I'm very lucky in that sense that I've got a very good group around me that they get that I have to miss things and no one makes me feel guilty, so I am lucky in that sense.
Oh, I wish we weren't on a timer. No. We're coming back to Don't Worry, stay with us, we'll get through more of your questions next. Hello, welcome back to our special International Women's Day Give to Gain panel show. So many brilliant questions, troops, let's crack on. Angelina, I want to go straight to you with this one. We've been sent a question by a female journalism student who's asked, what helped you build credibility and confidence on air in a male-dominated industry? Now, you have mentioned you worked with quite a lot of men.
Yeah.
So they were there building you up.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, having somebody like Jay who helped me through, was the person who got in touch with me and said, I think that you should come on to, it was Full-Time Devils back then, come on to the YouTube show and present. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, no. And he was like, no, I think you can do it. And also, you know, Jay, being a man of colour, knowing that he had my back, that when there were comments on the live streams coming through about how I belonged in a kitchen and stuff like that, he would say to me, how do you want to tackle this? And I'd be like, I want to have a bit of a joke back and say, oh, I can't cook anyway, it'd be a waste of time. I can't actually cook. But, you know, I'd sit and do, you know, I'd do that. And, you know, this is when I was, you know, in my early 20s. And I've always had that support. So I think regarding your credibility, it's about how you put yourself out there. And we can all have opinions and we all have different opinions, but I think it's how you approach them. And I think if you stick to your principles and you do the work, I think the prep work is so important. Like you were saying, you'll spend a whole Friday prepping. That prep is never wasted, because even if something doesn't go to plan, it will still be there and you'll still be able to pull it for different things. So I think credibility with that and confidence, again, walking into something feeling like you're prepared, that helps with your confidence massively. And not being afraid of feedback, I would say, as well. Some people are terrified of it, but you're never going to get better unless you take the feedback. So that actually helps with my confidence, because I know what I've got to do to try and be better.
I think that's great advice. You're not going to be perfect straight away, and sometimes in terms of getting more credible, it comes with getting air miles, and not every time you're on air you're going to smash it. You might have an off day, you might make a mistake, but you can get better from your mistakes. Adrian, this one's for you. You're known for not holding back in your strong opinions. How do you get your opinions across so well on air? Is that something you practice?
No, I don't practice it. I've practiced it at work over the years, I guess. It's about thinking through what you're going to say. I think if you just go on and like suddenly you try and come out with something, it'll possibly sound rubbish. It's thinking about what you're going to say. If you've got that foundation through the preparation of knowledge, of football knowledge, you can draw on that as you're going along in a debate. You're responding on your feet to callers, for example, or messages that are coming in. I think it's about the preparation, but it's also about knowing the words that you're going to say, knowing how you're going to tackle a certain subject. And don't be afraid if people have a different opinion and want to talk back and give their opinion on it. The fact that you're saying something that gets them to think about it, I think has got to be a positive thing.
Be calm, think it through, maybe write it down.
Possibly,
If there's something you're passionate about as well, you can practice these things. I mean, you might go on air and it all goes gone, because there's pressure on air. You are delivering a message essentially to a lot of listeners, but you will get better the more you kind of think these things through.
You've got like a path almost of what you're going to say, how
and
you're going to say it.
talk to people as well. Like, if I wanted to know something about Manchester United, I would think, oh, I'll ask Ange about this, you know, or if it's something Peterborough, Adrian will know about that. You know, suss out your allies as well and who you can run things by. Emily, this is an interesting one. You've been in the industry a long time, and even though we're seeing a lot more diversity on air now, there are still areas that are quite male dominated. Here's a question: how do you cope with any unprofessional male attention?
So we were talking about this briefly off air, about how you answer this question, because unfortunately it is still a thing. When I started, women were a minority in the industry, and not necessarily personal experience, but there can be situations where a young woman will be given an opportunity by a man in power, and you know, their confidence will be boosted. They'll feel on top of the world, and then suddenly there becomes a bit more of a reason behind why this man maybe gave them that opportunity. And what do you do in that situation? If someone makes an advance towards you, what do you do? I don't think it's as big a thing now, but I think it probably still does happen. But it's what do you do with that? Because you're then in a work environment. However you've got there, I would say have the confidence that you know you belong there, and that person has maybe given you a helping hand, but they haven't given you your ability. Your ability is there because of you, so that's why you're there. Luckily, in a lot of places now, there are people to go to if these things happen. Like, always speak to your HR team, speak to your line management team, speak to your allies, whether that be other women around you, other men around you, and anything you feel uncomfortable with, you don't have to do. You don't have to do it. It's not okay. And no matter who somebody is, it's okay to call them to account for unprofessional behaviour. So just be strong and be brave, and know that person, if something feels wrong, it probably is wrong.
Okay.
So call it out.
And that is what we teach our kids. It's what we go through life, saying if you feel uncomfortable, you should not be feeling uncomfortable in the workplace. It happens in a lot of workplaces, and it will still happen, and it probably happened a lot more back in the day, but I think the message is clear. No,
the Botox is doing really well.
Just don't feel uncomfortable in professional situations at all. This is an interesting one. Being a woman in the industry, it's not always easy, but have you found other women to be supportive, or is there competition?
You know what, it's an interesting one, because I think definitely there have been women that I've felt like have been in my corner that you can go to, that are allies, etc. But I think that there is competition, and it depends how you respond to it. I'm the type of person, I stay in my own lane, I just crack on doing what I'm doing, and I like seeing other women succeed. I like seeing other women on talkSPORT, whether it's on air, YouTube, Instagram, whatever it is. Like, I welcome it. I think that unfortunately, competition is a thing, and my advice would always be, you can only control what you do. And if someone does have a problem, if it does create a little bit of friction, speak out to the people that you can speak to, but you're only in control of you. So I think you've just got to carry on doing what you're doing, and just always be kind. I guess you never know what people are going through. If you do feel like there's a bit of competition, you don't know what path that person has walked, so to just always try and treat it with a bit of kindness, but just always stay in your own lane is what I would say, and don't get dragged into that, because I think especially as women, whilst there's healthy competition, when it starts to become that kind of toxic competition, you're then starting to buy into the stereotype of females can't work together, they're all catty, they all hate each other, they're all in kitchens hitting each other with spatulas and whatnot. So it's we've all been there. So just stay in your own lane with it is what I'd say.
Adrian, it's something we touched on as well. You feel that way too about men also. Everybody gets protective of their place, and you mentioned something from way back in the day.
Well, the competition is just phenomenal. I mean, there used to be something called a talkSPORT holiday in the early days, where if you went on holiday, you'd come back and your job had been taken by somebody who had come in and done it seemingly better than you had. So you came back and there was no job. This was very early days, by the way. But this is a competitive industry. This is an industry lots of people want to get into. So there's going to be competition. There's going to be jealousy, and there's going to be people motivated to succeed, but they go about it in the wrong way. They try to bring others down,
doesn't it? I think a lot of it comes from jealousy, like you say, insecurity, and potentially people who have been in the industry. When I was younger, I've only noticed it more as I've got older, and I wonder if that comes from the fact that there were less roles and there was more competition for places rather. So I wonder if people, as they get older, maybe they suddenly think, oh God, someone younger, someone prettier, someone is going to, who've got their finger on the pulse a bit more, is going to come in. But the way to deal with that is not to penalise the other person, because that gets you nowhere. That gets you nowhere. So like Angelina says, I would say stay in your own lane. But if you're someone who's feeling the need to do that, there's no threat to you if you improve yourself. Maybe. Yeah.
And that's the thing, I think it's a fair conversation just on the subject to have about planning for children or a family, if you want to have that, that means taking time off, and then somebody does come in, and I think openly we can say it, when quite often there's a woman off, a woman covers, you know. But then if Adrian was to take off a day this Saturday, which will never happen, it might be a man who covers. So you can't never take a day off for your own sanity, or to see your kids or see your daughter get married.
Let's give you an example, right? When just before talkSPORT started, I was working in news, and I used to drive a van around London, going from news story to news story, interviewed Tony Blair and all sorts of famous people, David Beckham. It was a great job. But my daughter, my first child, was born. When she was a baby, I decided I would give up my job and stay at home.
Did you?
Yeah, my wife.
I didn't know you did
My wife
that.
earned more than me, so she carried on working, and we flipped roles for our second child. But for that first child, I gave up that job, and I thought to myself, that's probably me done in this industry. And I thought I'd have to change careers. Trained up to be a teacher. And then I knew somebody who knew somebody at Talk Radio, which became talkSPORT, and got back in that way. So maybe I was a little bit fortunate, right place, right time.
Maybe you were really good.
Maybe there was an element that I did okay, I don't know, and maybe I was cheap, I don't know. But I think that you're right. It's a difficult one when you're planning a family, but that impacted my career, and I thought it was going to impact it to the point of changing, but ultimately it didn't have to.
Yeah. And somebody mentioned to me not too long ago, we were discussing maternity leave, and somebody might have not been wanting to go off on maternity leave and rushing back to work because you're trying to be protecting the spot that you've got. It's also okay to feel that way too, because it is bloody hard when you're at home and looking after the kids, and then you're on Instagram and then someone's doing the job and you're going, oh, I should be grateful for the kids, but Jesus, I love my job. You know, there's a lot to battle with yourself about. So find people you can also share that experience with, and have those conversations about it. And it's okay to feel that way sometimes. Everybody has their own thing going on.
Everyone, for single mums as well, you know, there's the earning pressures as well. So you know, that's another big thing. Not everyone who has a baby is with a partner. There's earning pressure. There's a lot of stuff, and I think working in an environment like talkSPORT, and I'm not just saying that because this is a talkSPORT show, but there is a lot of support.
I feel it. I feel the support. I have children at home, and I always feel that that's thought about, and for that I'm grateful. So it is a changed world now. You know, it is. It's a better place. It's a healthy place to be.
I do agree.
Sorry for cutting you off.
No, I know. I'm agreeing with you completely.
And your children are only home alone Saturday and Sunday mornings, aren't they? It's just 5 hours.
It's early. It's all right. They fend for themselves.
With your daddy. Sorry, I'm weird. Adrian, being on air is amazing. It's a brilliant privilege, but it does come with its struggles. And you mentioned taking criticism. It's important to be able to take it. How do you deal with it when it gets to the point of toxicity?
Yeah, it's difficult. And of course, what I used to do on Drive was very tribal. And so I'd say something, fans would think I hate their club, and it would get very toxic very quickly. What's amazing about that is when I was out and about, so I always used to go out and about on a Saturday. So I was on Drive in the week, giving out all these opinions. On a Saturday, I'd be at a Premier League game. Nobody said anything negative. They'd all come up and say, love the show, or love talkSPORT, love this, what's Simon Jordan really like, you know, all those things. So there was never any negativity when you're face to face with people, which I think is quite telling. It's usually or always just social media side of things. I think you have to have a thick skin. We've mentioned that before. I think that you need support from people around you, but you've got to remember as well that people will have different opinions to you. I found that quite difficult early on. They'll be quite forceful with those opinions as well, and then you're trying to stick to your guns, and it becomes this like there is a better way of handling that. It took me a long while to discover that, but I think that as long as you realise at the end of it all, it is just a football debate. It shouldn't get too toxic.
Yeah.
No, and it is an opinion as well. And I was thinking about this from a management capacity the other day. Sometimes as a woman I do feel imposter syndrome. I've worked in this industry for 15 years, and still if I think, oh, so and so is playing that day and I've got the fixture wrong, I'm like, oh my god, I don't know enough. A man wouldn't have done that. Or if I say, oh, for example, on this show I think we should take this angle, and a man turns around and goes, oh, I think we should take this angle, you need to accept that doesn't mean you're wrong. Like, it's opinions. And just because you have a different opinion doesn't mean yours is right or wrong, or theirs is right or wrong. It's an opinion. And in this industry where you've got, you know, opposing fans, and you've got opinions are okay. But yeah, I think as a woman, the imposter syndrome, you do sit and think, oh god, have I thought that because I'm a girl and I don't know enough?
I think that women are held to a different standard, and it's a bit of a cliche, but I think it's absolutely true. So Saturday's show, I was at Anfield. I was listening to our reporters, and there were several reporters got names wrong. They pronounced them incorrectly. And one of them in particular, I was absolutely fuming. I was like, how can you get that wrong? Do you not watch Match of the Day? Do you not listen to talkSPORT? You surely know how this guy's name is pronounced. And then you see on social media an ex-female player will say something, get a pronunciation wrong or a figure wrong or something like that, and the world comes down on it. But it happens to a guy and it's almost laughed out.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, I'm very, very uncomfortable with that. So I try to hold our reporters to a high standard, and one of them will be able to tell you the message that I sent him on Saturday mid-show, and he responded very well to it. So.
Yeah, it's important to know that it might happen. You know, because you are a woman, you will be held to a different standard, but if you're good and you work your backside off, you'll be fine. You know, you'll be absolutely fine. Ange, I love this question, and it's straight for you. Do you recommend starting a YouTube channel or podcast if you are looking to get on air in the future?
If you are willing to put the work in, I would say. I think that it's a great way to try to get a bit of a body of work together. I think it's a great way for you to learn about yourself. You might do a podcast or a YouTube channel or whatever, rewatch it and think, oh, maybe I could have done this. It's a great way for self-reflection. But I think you have to be willing to put the work in, because nobody wants to listen to something that sounds rubbish. No one wants to look at a YouTube show that doesn't look right. And obviously there is a financial impact of, you know, having a good mic or having a good camera. I mean, phone cameras now are so good. You can figure out ways around it. But I think you've got to really put the time and the effort into it as well, because it is an extra job almost to be posting consistently, etc. So I think it's a really good opportunity to get to practice and to work, but you've got to be willing to put the hours in as well, I would say, because otherwise if people look at it and it's no good, it's not really going to help you. So
as you mentioned, Emily, then if you are wanting to be on air and you are wanting to put those hours in, it's a good place then where management can look and go, they're working at it. So on that subject then, for those who don't want to be on air but want to get their foot in the door in production, what angle, what route should they go down?
So I would say you have to hustle. You still, whether you're on air or off air, it's a sort of industry where it's tough, and you have to hustle and kind of, you don't necessarily have to know what you want to do. I think there's people who work here, like sort of junior people who work here, who said to me, I don't know what I want to do. It's like, that's okay, that's fine. There's so many different opportunities in terms of actual roles. Like the jobs that I've done, sometimes I haven't even known until I got in there that they existed, and then I've loved them. So I would say you just have to keep knocking on the door, basically, whether that be sending emails, whether that be connecting with people on LinkedIn, whether that be doing show reels. Sorry, you said off air, but you know, anything.
But editing, even learning how to edit, things like that are important. Obviously, in this industry. I think
anything that you just it's so accessible now to find people who work where you want to work, and hopefully people will have had helping hands themselves and they will be in a position, not everyone, but someone will answer your email, someone will reply to your DM, someone
knock that door,
and just keep going until they listen, basically.
And you know what, don't be afraid of no or getting pied. Don't be afraid of it. Go again.
And
you'll
keep
get
a good relationship with people who say no, and don't take it personally. Be professional, be polite, be nice to be around, and they will remember you. And then hopefully if a position does come up, then you'll still be in there thinking. So well, that takes us on nicely. We've got so many brilliant questions to get into, but I want to ask you all about the one piece of advice that you would like to share with anybody watching this, for anybody wanting to get their foot in the door, or maybe be sitting at this desk 5 years from now having this same conversation. And go for it. What's your advice?
I think I touched on it ever so slightly earlier, but it's be kind is what I would say. This is a a very big industry, but it's also a very small industry, and word travels fast. And I think if you go into everything, even if you're not on your A game with something, but if you go into something with kindness, you show respect, you have a bit of humility, especially when I was coming up, and I remember, and I'll always do it, if I'm lucky enough to be in the box at Wembley when it's the FA Cup final with Adrian and the team, I'm normally there doing social media things. I will make sure that they've got what they need at half time, if it's because my work doesn't start until full time. So I'll just make sure, do you need a drink? I'll go and raid the snack bar and bring you stuff. And that's not, oh, you're a woman, you're making tea or anything. It's just about being a good person and being a good teammate, being a good colleague. And I think that would be the first piece of advice I would give anyone. Just always remember, people will remember you. And I get we all have bad days, but if you come into something, thinking that you're better than anybody or maybe being a bit rude, people will remember that, but people also remember when you're kind, so I think that's important.
That's brilliant. Love it. Adrian?
Well, the be kind thing is absolutely spot on, because it can be a world full of egomaniacs who are crazed, and through that cuts through. If you're kind, I think that cuts through and gets remembered. But also I'd say take any opportunities that you come your way and make sure that you do something to the best of your ability, as in, you can't give them an opportunity to come back to you and say, well, you weren't good enough at that. Just go for it and do it as well as you possibly can. Also, don't say no to stuff like, if you're a Man United fan and you get asked to do something on Liverpool or even Peterborough or Luton or whatever, don't say no. I don't know anything about League One, I can't do that. Just get on and do it. Do you know what I mean? I've come across so many people who just, I don't fancy doing that, and that must be so infuriating for those who give out jobs and make those decisions, because they might have talent but they've just said no to something, and it's just, wow, okay, why would you say no to researching a football subject? It seems crazy.
I would probably say, and like I said before, just keep knocking on the door, but be patient, because I think that you will. It's not a super speedy road sometimes, but if you are patient, if you are kind, if you work hard, if you are brave, you will get there. But just be patient, and if stuff takes time, don't suddenly become nonchalant and down tools. Just keep going, be patient, and it will happen.
Yeah, very good. Somebody once, the amount of times I'm told this, have thick skin, be able to handle being told no. But the best piece of advice I got from a guy called James Plew. I used to work when I'm down in Ayrshire when I was 17, and he put me on air there. And he said to me, if there's a job that you want, work your tail off to make sure you're doing it, because if you're not, someone else will be. And I thought that really stuck with me. Someone at the end of the day will have to do that job. If you want it, work your arse off, and hopefully one day you'll be doing it. Troops, this has been sensational. I feel like it's therapy. I feel like we can keep going, but we're going to get kicked out of this studio. Angelina,
I've got some hoovering to do.
I was going to go down a dark road. Angelina Kelly, keep going, keep doing your thing, smashing it. Adrian Durham, thank you for being a male ally to us and to everyone else watching this.
It's a pleasure.
Emily Ward, thank you for everything that you do in terms of management and inspiring us all on the daily basis. And to you at home watching, keep following your dreams, work hard. There's a place for women in this industry, and we hope to see you in it very, very soon. Take care. Bye bye.